Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Finding Me and the ITV networks. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنَ قَوْمٍ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا إِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Basically, if you translate that, it means that let not the hatred or a dislike of a people prevent you from doing justice. Do justice. Actually, Allah commands you, it's a command. Always maintain justice. Huwa aqrabu littaqwa. That is the closest to God consciousness. So the concept of justice is key in managing society, in managing our relationships. And in the month of February, we know that we have a day called Social Justice Day, or International or the World Social Justice Day. But what is social justice? What does it imply? It implies fairness and mutual obligation in society. That we are responsible for one another and not only ourselves. So it's a concept away from the liberal idea of individuality. And more importantly, that we should ensure that all have equal chances to succeed in life. Unfortunately, there are many instances in the world today where we find that some people have more opportunities to succeed than others. And that is because of the way in which people regulate the lives of others. And to talk about justice, I have with me today three dynamic young individuals. I would like to start with Sumaya, with you first, because it's a concept of ladies first, and you know in Islam also that the ladies get preference. So with me is Sumaya Omar, and Sumaya is an honors student at the University of Pretoria. And you're also heading the portfolio on politics in South Africa and international relations for the MSA Union. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah for having me.
And next to Sumaya is Adil. Adil, you're also heading the IT portfolio for the MSA Union, but you were also the chairperson of the MSA at UJ in 2013. And we'll come to the controversial aspect of you, the part where you're going to campaign for the SRC. But for now, I'd like to say welcome and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakallah very much for having us.
And finally, Yusuf Talia, I mean, you're an exceptional role model. I think for all the youth that are sitting and watching today, they should take lessons and learn about the strength and courage, especially from you. I mean, I've heard about you from the time my eldest daughter was or had joined the MSA Union. You've been with the MSA for 8 years now. You've been involved in numerous organizations, campaigns, awareness programs, etc. And you're currently the head or the chairperson of the MSA Union. So welcome and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, shukran for having us.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I want to start with something very, very important, and that is the role of youth as being part of activism and raising awareness in the campuses or being, generally in society. As I mentioned to you right in the start, or my introduction was about social justice and about participating. But before we come to that entire concept, let's start with you, Yusuf, because you're the head and the chairperson of the MSA Union. What is the MSA Union?
Well, MSA Union is the national representative body of all MSAs in South Africa. We currently represent 23 across the country. Our vision as MSA Union is to advance Project Islam by representing, networking and developing Muslim youth in South Africa. So essentially all MSAs in the country fall within MSA Union, being the national voice for ours.
That's amazing. I didn't know you had 23 MSAs. So that's spread over the various campuses, technicons, colleges?
Well, at the moment we split around the three regions. So one being Central Region, which is Gauteng, Pretoria, and then you also move into sort of Vaal Triangle, Free State in that region. And then in Cape, so there we have UCT, UWC, those sorts of campuses, Stellenbosch roads. We're still busy making inroads into other campuses at the moment. I think last year we started about 3 new MSAs across the country, and we're looking to build into your technicons and your other FET colleges as the need arises.
That's excellent. Adil, may I ask you, why is it necessary to have a Muslim body on campus?
I think it's important that the Muslim students have a representative body on campus, an official representative body, somebody that they can go to, and somebody that represents their interests, voices their opinions, voices their speeches, and interdicts on their behalf.
Would you like to add something to that?
Can I just add something? I think in today's time where Muslim youth are grappling with the idea of identity, to identify themselves on campus, especially being Muslim, I think the MSA serves as a platform not only to represent them, but where students can come forward with certain issues and act collectively on things and take a united stand for justice. I mean, when we go into this, we will speak about the SRC and the UJ campaign and what it means to be to have a united footing on an issue that really affects us, and not only Muslims, but the broader collective.
So basically what you're saying is that it's important for Muslims to stand together, shoulder to shoulder with everybody in society on an issue of justice. And I suppose that it helps in a way to counter also Islamophobic tendencies, etc., which we will talk about a little bit. But you've preempted me. My question was that the general attitude of many Muslim students is actually to shun a Muslim identity. We find that, so we have both poles, but we find that there are many who shun their Muslim identity, especially when they enter the campus. Can a student body, let me ask you this, Yusuf, can a student body actually help to revive this particular negativity?
I think most definitely it plays a massive role in creating that sisterhood and brotherhood on campus that we're trying to really foster. And if you look at MSA Union, we host national camps and conferences, and last year we had 2 actually. And it's a very good opportunity for people to get out of their comfort zones, out of their normal environment, get to know other like-minded individuals, and build that brotherhood and sisterhood. And you really see it coming through on campus level. When you have your weekly discussions and things along those lines, people are very happy to be associated with being a Muslim on campus. And I think MSAs play a very strategic role on campus. It's not a very isolationist type of organization. We integrate with other students, we get involved on general student issues as well, not just quote-unquote Muslim issues. We integrate on every level and try to be very incorporative.
And I think part of that integration is exactly what has happened to you at the UJ campus. Yes. Can you explain to us a little bit about what happened at UJ?
At UJ, late January, what happened was the NSFAS applications or the funding had been removed. And what happened was there was no funding for a lot of students at campus. So we joined in solidarity with many other students and protested against that. What happened was 27 students were detained at UJ after the University Protection Services had called the South African Police Services, called them and got them detained and removed off campus. Then further they were served with a suspension. 20 UJ students were served with a suspension. They were blocked from registration and obviously denied their right to education.
And MSA was part of that campaign to stand up for the funding of students?
Yes, we were. It's a Progressive Youth Alliance structure, so that's many different structures on campuses.
Okay, so now I've got a bunch of criminals with me as well, because that's how the university has basically outlined you. But we have to go to a break. When I come back, Sumaya, you can raise this discussion, so we'll see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, and welcome back to the second segment of Finding Me in the ITV networks. Today with me, of course, are 3 very dynamic young individuals, Yusuf Talia, Adil Lunat and Sumaya Omar. All 3 of these young individuals are activists on their campuses and have maintained very strong portfolios in pushing forward the issues and agendas of justice. Before we went into the break, Sumaya, you wanted to add something about the UJ protests.
Well, it actually adds to the entire country and what's going on. I mean, if you look at the university technologies across the country, we have DUT, we have Val and Shoshangove, which adds to this. It was such a case where the campus was entirely locked, and about 5,000 to 6,000 students actually broke down the gates and walked into campus and registered themselves and went to study. And I think this is a type of activism and this is a type of nature and spirit of justice that we need. We need to start forcing this education matter. We need to say that although we are registered in our systems, we do have a comfortable place in our universities, and we do have access to education. It might not be free, but it is access, and might not be equal in that matter because of the different quota systems. But I mean, we need to start collectively working and building awareness that other kids are denied the opportunity.
And not as fortunate.
And fortunately, UJ actually got coverage, but Val and all the other campuses, students were detained for a couple of days. They were thrown out of their reses. I know students from SASCO who were living on the streets, in churches, and we were providing aid to them. But I think this needs to be worked on, and I think this MSA is a great platform to advocate the issue of free and equal education, and obviously put pressure on SAWUS and SASCO and the government to deliver.
And I'm glad that you raised this point, because I mean, we know that education is key, and much of our budget, a huge portion of the South African budget, goes to education. But then the question is, there's something wrong in the system. Now, you've raised an important point again. It's about domestic issues, bringing to the forefront the importance of education, etc. And so Adil, I'd like to come to you. Is participating in domestic politics important for Muslim students, and does it show a certain level of understanding and awareness of your environment, that you're not within this enclosure of I am a Muslim living in my world kind of an identity?
I think it's very important that Muslims get out there, because as we know previously, we were not on those frontiers as we are now today, especially the youth. And like Sumaya said, the MSA platform is brilliant to do that, and we definitely have to get involved in issues close to home as well as international. And we have to stand in solidarity with all that are oppressed, suppressed, and fighting this injustice. So and just to add to the university's issues, the level of bureaucracy is quite immense, and they successfully are able to suppress students' voices, and in turn the injustice is not spoken about. So we are trying to break that trend.
Yeah, and I think a stronger way of doing that is when organizations come together cohesively under a united front, and then you all basically thrash out the same idea. But Yusuf, coming to that now, one of the strong campaigns on campus, which brings in a collective groupings of individuals, organizations, different people, religions, races, color, ethnicities, is the entire concept of Israeli Apartheid Week, right? So I just want a very quick introduction from you about what is Israeli Apartheid Week, and then I want to play the video that the MSA Union has developed for this week, and then we'll come back, and I'd like to get some feedback and comment from Adil and Sumaya.
Well, Israeli Apartheid Week, or IAW, is essentially an international Solidarity Week that happens at various times, and obviously different regions have it, but it's around the same period of in the year, where we stand in solidarity with people of Palestine and also shine light on the injustices that are taking place in Israel and by the Israeli Zionist sort of cohort. And I think it's a very important week. It's very good to induce solidarity and take it forward.
Okay, so we're going to the video, and when we come back, we'll take the discussion a little further.
Yes. For all us young freedom-loving South Africans, our parents beat the beast once, well the beast is back, and it must be beaten back again. To all you brand Israelis sitting safe in your settlements, listen close, this is the sound of solidarity from South Africa to Gaza to the West Bank.
Our attitude towards any country is determined by the attitude of that country to our struggle.
The ethnic cleansing of most of the Palestinians who would have been inside what then became Israel.
Our existence speaks volumes against their actions.
So Israel, for example, does not abide at all by international law. The entire occupation is illegal. It's a violation, in particular, of the Fourth Geneva Convention.
So what we need is not charity. What we need is solidarity. You can't buy our silence. You can't bribe us into conceding our basic rights. We're not asking for anything special, anything more than our rights.
Just like ourselves, they are fighting for the right of self-determination.
It looks like it's turning. Check the flag, it looks like it's burning. Check the tide, it looks like it's turning. Check the flag, it looks like it's burning.
Yes, yes, go break down the wall, free
Freedom for Gaza, freedom for us all. Yes, yes, yo, break down the wall. Yes, yes, yo, break down the wall. Freedom for Gaza.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome to the final segment of Finding Me in the ITV networks. And I hope that many of you enjoyed that video. It was very dynamic and gave a strong message forward. And Sumaya, I want to start with you very quickly. I mean, what are you trying to do with IAW, and what are the challenges that you face?
Well, this year MSA Union and obviously the whole BDS movement is trying to up their game. It's our 10th annual IAW, as well as globally the BDS movement has really been making impact and is still making impact on the Israeli government. I mean, there's talks from Netanyahu saying that they're really considering this BDS movement. So this year MSA is going to play a very strategic role. As Yusuf mentioned, we have 23 campuses, but about 15 of those campuses would be hosting proper IAW events. And we're going to be doing a series of videos, which you saw the first one, and the other two will be released before IAW. Last year I created a basic manual as to help campuses how to host a successful IAW, and this year I'm going to be launching this weekend a second version of that as to how to have a more professional IAW, how to act, how to behave, touching on issues of Israel, new issues of Palestine. And we have coordinated workshops across the country that will assist students with regards to, during that week, improving their awareness, their education, as well as ability to deal with certain issues when they are faced with Zionists that do approach them. This year, the Zionist board will be deploying not only the Zionist students that live in South Africa, but students are coming in from all across to counter IAW, and they're going to be having a 3-week Israeli Awareness Week, where it will start a week before IAW, during IAW, and a week after IAW. And they've been investing millions of dollars into this actually to counter IAW globally, but South Africa is one of their biggest strongholds, and I think MSA Union on their campuses need to play a progressive role, an active role in being aware of these issues and also pushing the agenda of justice forward.
Adil, one of the key things I think with the Israeli Apartheid Week is the common line that the Zionists put out. It's anti-Semitism. Yes. Is IAW and speaking out against the injustices of the perpetuated by the Zionist state of Israel, the Apartheid state of Israel, is that anti-Semitism?
Not at all, not at all. It's actually very, very much in solidarity with the Palestinian people who are suffering and being oppressed by the Israeli government. Alhamdulillah, the manual that Sumaya created last year helped us very much on campus, and we had an explosive sort of week, Israeli Apartheid Week at UJ, and we had people coming to us saying that it's anti-Semitic, but Alhamdulillah, after explaining to them, they sort of understood. They see the oppressive, they see the wall as a apartheid sort of a separator. And yes.
Yusuf, I mean, many people don't understand that the Palestinians themselves are Semites, right? So if you're saying you're anti-Semite, that means you're against the Palestinians as well.
Most definitely. I think we have to look at the line that MSA and all other IAW-related organizations are taking, is that it's very specific that Zionism is a political ideology, not a religious basis. And therefore we stand against Zionism as a political ideology. And you have to look at the broader context that there are many Jewish people who are actually supporting BDS and Israeli Apartheid Week. South Africa Stop the JNF, for instance, which shows that you can't be anti-Semitic if there are Jewish people involved in the struggle as well. And we draw the line, we're going to be towing it very firmly that we're not going to be anti-Semitic, and there's no room for that. And like the opening verse that you mentioned, just because we disagree with the Zionist ideology, it doesn't mean we should be unjust to people who are of Jewish faith.
And I think that also raises a very important point, is because when I speak very often about white supremacy, people think you're going against whites. But white supremacy is a system, an unjust system. And as Judge Al-Bisaq said, he said that, even when they were in the UDF and the ANC, they were fighting a system of injustice which was related to white supremacy. It was not against a race. So this is a system of injustice, Zionism, and it is not against a religion or a religious people or a religious identity of Jews. But Yusuf, very quickly, quickly again, can you add to us, you were speaking earlier about the social media tools that are used to raise awareness, and you said there is a particular tool that's used on Twitter now called spotlighting?
Yes, well, spotlighting, I think it's Spotlighting South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, they seek to target people who are pro-Palestinian in nature and then go into their timelines and try to distract them and agitate people, essentially. And recently, if you look at their Twitter feed, they came up with this initiative called Islam Terrorism. But obviously, if you look at it, it looks like Islam terrorism, and those sorts of things come through very clearly, that it becomes very Islamophobic very rapidly, and it's something we need to all be cognizant of. And when these sort of accounts follow you and try to harass you on Twitter, not to really engage with them, because at the end of the day, they're only there just to try and agitate you and try to get you to react. Especially now IW is coming up, you're going to see a lot more of it on MSA accounts, on personal accounts, as well. At the end of the day, it's about standing firm in your beliefs, that you're doing what's right because it's what you have to do as a Muslim. And stand strong again.
And that is a very positive comment from you. We're almost at the end, so I need parting thoughts and comments from you. But exactly what you're saying is my kids call them trolls on Twitter. These are the ones who can try and aggravate you. Okay, so a parting thought from you, Adil.
I just hope that the Muslim youth of South Africa can get more involved and be a part of our initiatives and struggles. And that is close to home and international. So, yeah, just a call to all Muslims.
More positive participation. And
yes.
Sumaya?
Well, I think now that it's quite fitting, it's 20 years of democracy in South Africa, and we're heading towards our 5th general elections, as well as Israeli Apartheid Week. And I think there are fundamental things to start activating and calling Muslims. And I think we just really need to stand firmly on one stand and one platform. But more importantly is that we shouldn't shun away when the Muslim identity, when Islam is being called, when we're ridiculed, and when we misjudge because of certain acts. And I think we can only lead by example. And South Africa is a place where we actually can lead by example. We have the rights, we have the responsibilities, and I think we need to take it forward.
And I would like to give my parting comment or thought to that is, I think it's very important, it is necessary and an obligation on the part of all of us, of all Muslims, to not apologize. To not apologize for the actions of a few who do not represent Islam or Islamic identity. These are individuals who have actually hijacked Islam. I'm not an apologist for my religion, because if you study and understand Islam, then you will realize that Islam is not a barbaric religion and it does not need anyone's apology. In fact, the real barbarians are those who are perpetuating state and economic terrorism, killing of hundreds of thousands of defenseless, innocent civilians, and then painting it, the reaction and the response of the individuals to this kind of terrorism, as a barbaric religion that is responding. But if you really look at it, the majority of the terrorists lie in the grouping that is called the world's 1%. And if anybody needs to raise the issues, then those are the issues that need to be raised. So with that, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing your time and your comments with me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
And with that, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.